What is mutation? So whenever there is a change in the position of nucleotide in the gene, it results in mutation. Now we are going to see page number 3. They have given you the question, can you recall? First question they have given is, what is the function of appendix of our digestive system? So it is a vestigial organ in herbivorous animals. Second answer are our wisdom. We are going to see detail about appendix in the vestigial organ, which is one of the evidence for the proof of evolution. So now you remember the answer. So it is a vestigial organ. It is having no function. Second, are our wisdom teeth really useful for chewing the food? So again here the answer is no, they are not useful for chewing the food. Third question they have given, why did the huge animals like dinosaur become extinct? So there are 4-5 reasons regarding that. One of the reason is a big meteors. It crashed on the earth, changing the climatic condition, which results in the extinction of these dinosaurs. They are not able to survive in such a case. Secondly, ash and gases which are given from the volcanoes, they also suffocates them. Third reason considered is diseases are the one who are responsible for wiping out the species of dinosaurs. Then the fourth thing, that at the time of dinosaur there was the beginning of the ice age, and thus due to the scarcity of food, due to starvation, their species they extinct. And the fifth thing, that is they are not able to adjust the environment in which they have to survive. So these are the 4-5 reasons, possible reasons for the third question for the dinosaur extinction. Then fourth question, why are many species of animals and birds getting extinct? So for that also there are 3-4 things which we can consider. One thing is due to overhunting, overpoaching, or in case of aquatic animals, fishing, that results in the extinction of these species. Or there is a pollution in the climate or climatic changes are there due to urbanization. It causes in the depletion of their shelter or food. That is also one of the reasons for their extinction. Or due to the continuous and rapid changes in the environment, it can have the threat for the natural habitat of the animals and the birds. So these are 3-4 reasons which we can consider as a pollution, urbanization, climatic changes, hunting, poaching, continuous rapid changes in the environment. All these are causing the extinction of species of birds and animals. Now we are going to see what is evolution. So evolution is a gradual change, that is the first thing. Second, it is a slow process. And the third thing, that is it occurs for a long duration of time. That is the third thing. Then the transformation has occurred in many components. In evolution, transformation has occurred in many components, that is from stars, planets in the space to the biosphere in the earth. Then it results in the formation of new species. Evolution results in the formation of new species, or due to evolution new species are formed. And due to natural selection, what happened, there are continuous changes. Due to natural selection, there are continuous changes in the specific characters of several generations of living organisms. So these are the general introductory part regarding the evolution. Slow process, gradual process, taking long duration. Now we are going to consider the possibility how evolution has occurred. So 3.5 billion years ago, life was not existing on earth. Then at the beginning, what is formed, there is a possibility that simple elements may have been formed at the beginning. Then from these simple elements on the earth, the organic and inorganic compounds may have been formed, which are simple ones. From simple elements, simple organic and inorganic compounds may have been formed, and then from these simple compounds, the complex organic compounds like proteins and nucleic acids, they were formed, and for their formation, a long period was used. Then from the different types of these organic and from different types of mixtures of these organic and inorganic compounds, first primitive cell may have been formed, and this first primitive cell, its number of cell goes on increasing at the cost of surrounding chemicals. That is, the number of cells goes on increasing, and from them the multicellular first living organism must have been formed. While in this first primitive organism, whenever now the natural selection plays the important role, those who are able to adapt, they can survive, while those which are not able to adapt, they get perished. So that is how they have given you the possibility. Now if we consider at present the diversity regarding the plants and diversity regarding animals, there is a huge diversity on the surface of the earth. If we consider in case of plants, it starts from the chlorella, unicellular chlorella algae, to the large banyan tree. Large diversity is observed from this unicellular to multicellular plants. In case of animals, if we observe, it starts from unicellular amoeba, paramecium, to the large multicellular human being or whales. So such a diversity is observed in plants and animals on the surface of the earth, and it exists everywhere, that is on the equator as well as on the poles. They are found everywhere, that is air, water, land, rock, etc. So definitely the humans, they have the curiosity regarding the origin of life, their evolution. So various theories were put forth regarding their origin and evolution. The best accepted theory is the theory of gradual development of living organism. Theory of gradual development of living organism is the accepted theory, or theory of organic evolution is the accepted theory. So according to this theory of evolution, the first material, that is the protoplasm, living material, appeared in the sea water, on the earth, in the oceans. Then in due course of time, from this protoplasm the unicellular organisms were formed. Gradual changes occur in these unicellular organisms, and then they form the larger complex multicellular organisms were formed from them, and the changes occurring them are slow one, they are gradual one. It takes about 300 crores of years to occur these changes, and these changes and their development, they are all around and they are all multidimensional. So that means it leads to the formation of different types of living organisms, which is an organizational process. It is an organizational process, means from cell to tissues, tissues to organ, like that the process occurs. And thus we define here the evolution process as it is a progressive development of plants and animals from ancestors having different structural and functional organization. So whenever the definition of evolution is asked, which definition you are going to write? Progressive developments of plants and animals from ancestors having different structural and functional organization is called evolution. Now for this evolution, there are various evidences given. These evidences are of 6 types. First evidence is the morphological evidence, second is anatomical, third one vestigial organs, then fourth one is paleontological, fifth one is connecting links, and sixth one is embryological evidence. So if we consider the first evidence, that is morphological evidence, it is very simple. In your book they have given you figure 1.4 showing 3 animals and 3 plants one below the other. So morphology means it is a study of external structure, external appearance. So if we see the three animals shown in the picture, then the structure of nostrils or the structure of their mouth, then the position of their eyes and ear pinna, as well as if we see their hairy thick coat on their body, all these things are same in all the three animals, though the animals shown are different. All these things are same. Similarly, in case of plants, if we consider the leaf structure of leaf petiole, or if we see the leaf venation, all these three things are similar in the three pictures shown in the plants. So what conclusion we can have from that? That is, all these plants and animals, they have same origin, that is, they have same ancestors. So that is the first evidence, which is a morphological evidence given for the theory of evolution. Then second one, they have given the anatomical evidence. Anatomy means it is a structure, a study of internal structure. So if we consider, they have shown you four pictures: human hand, then cat's foreleg, then patagium of bat. Patagium means bat has thin digits, and in between the thin digits there is a membrane of skin. Skin membrane is there, that is known as patagium, and the flipper of bell. So all these animals in these structures, they are doing different functions. They are doing different functions, and if we observe the structures of the bones of all these parts or joints of these bones, they have similarities. So whenever the structures are basically same, but they are modified for different functions, such organs, they are also known as homologous organs. So this is the example of homologous organs, that is, both are having different functions, but internally, if we observe the structure of their bones or joints, they are exactly similar, which again tells us that they are having similar origin, that is, similar ancestors. That is the anatomical evidence. So you have to remember the names regarding the human hand, cat's foreleg, patagium of bat, or flipper of bell. Then they have given on page number 4, can you tell which are the different organs in body of organisms? So there are different organs. If we consider the higher organisms, there are different organs and different organ systems present. For example, if we consider the thoracic cavity, in thoracic cavity we have organs like lung or heart. If we consider skull, we have brain. If we consider abdominal cavity, we have stomach, liver, or we have intestine, we have kidneys. So in different parts of the body, different organs are situated. When the living organisms, they are the higher living organisms, multicellular organisms. Now in each of the organs useful to organism. So what is the answer for which are the different organs in body of organisms? We have different organs, different organ system, and you have to give some 1, 2, 3 examples. Alright? Now each of the organs useful to organism? Yes, definitely. If we consider heart, which is present in thoracic cavity, it is used for circulation. Lungs, which is useful for respiration. If we consider kidneys, which are the excretory organs. If we consider the brain, it is the organ for control and coordination. Only if we consider the organ like appendix, which is the vestigial organ. So that is the anatomical evidence they have given. Again, I think vestigial organ is a part in previous syllabus included in anatomical evidence only. In this syllabus they have given it separately. Followed? So what are the vestigial organ? How we are going to define the vestigial organ, which is nothing but the part of anatomical evidence. So what are vestigial organs? Vestigial organs are degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs present in organisms. They are known as vestigial organs. So if we consider the living organism, in living organism, existing organs, they undergo changes. gradual changes. Which are the organs existing in living organism? Gradual changes are observed. In them, there is no sudden development of tissues or new tissues or organ in them. So, if we have a specific structure in the body, mostly the specific structure in the body is useful under certain situation, but if the situation is different, under different situation, the same structure may become useless or even it become harmful, and such a structures which have become useless, they start degenerating by as per the principle of natural selection, which takes about thousands of years for their disappearance. And these structures, they occur in the different phases of disappearance in different animals. Such organs, they are functional in some certain organism, but they are non-functional in certain organism. They become vestigial in them. For that, they have given you certain example. For example, appendix, which is the outgrowth given out from the end portion of the large intestine shown in the figure. So, this appendix was useful for digestion of raw material like cellulose, and previously we are not knowing the technique of cooking the food, so they were eating all the raw food material which contain large amount of cellulose, plant cell made up of cellulose, and therefore for digestion of cellulose at that time appendix was very much useful. Now we eat cooked food mostly, and therefore appendix is not useful. Thus it becomes the useful organ in ruminant, but it becomes useless in us. So that is one. Second, they have shown the muscles of ear pinna, which are useless in human being, but they are useful in the monkeys for the movement of ear pinna. Movement of ear pinna is done with the help of these ear muscles, which is done in the animals, which is not necessary for human beings. So it has also become the vestigial organ. Then third, they have given the vestigial organ, which is a tailbone, which is known as coccyx. So previously we were living, our ancestors, they were living in the forest because there are so many trees. So for balancing, jumping, we require this tail. But as the forest has become less, we are going to this our ancestors, they come and live on lands. On land, it is not necessary to have the tail. So tail gets disappear. But instead of tail, what remains in our body is the tailbone. And these are the four fused vertebrae appears as a tailbone in our body, that is known as coccyx. So that is also the vestigial organ. Followed? Then wisdom teeth, which is also not useful, and the body hair which are present in the body of human being. These are also the vestigial organ. Their number has also become decreased as they are not useful. So these are the vestigial organs they have given in the human being. Followed? So these are the three evidences we have seen: morphological, anatomical and vestigial organs.